ratios, Title 22 says we have to have an acuity system. Any idea why?
Safety.
Safety. Patients are not all created equal. They have all kinds of needs, and the acuity system is built to help show the needs of the patient, of the individual patient, if it's done correctly. If all you do is you walk in and you go, oh my gosh, I have to have this done by 7:35, and you click 3, 7, 10, 21, that does not tell you what the needs of the patient are. That just tells you got it done and it's in the system. So that when the audits are done, and the person who does the audits looks at the patient and does their own acuity, it doesn't match. And that means you guys are unreliable. So when somebody says to me, we can't, what difference does it make if we do this or not? We never use it. Then you have to understand that if you're not going to do it right, you can't use it to the best of its ability. Here at Memorial, there have been a couple of units that have been able to change their staffing, have been able to make improvements, and have been able to help staff satisfaction. Because if you walk in and you get an assignment and you're looking at it going, oh my gosh, yes, I had 2 of these patients, but now I've got 2 more that look like road train wrecks. And the person in the 3 rooms next to me doesn't, then you're like, well, what happened? Doesn't the charge nurse like me anymore? So this is where acuity can help. So it's not totally a subjective decision about who gets what. So you can use it in addition to the ratios and whatever guide you use for staffing. And it's something that you can go to the charge nurse or whoever makes the staffing and say, can you explain to me why do I have this? Or can you I noticed that somebody else had an assignment and they're just really having a difficult time. Mine's not so bad, and see, I can use the acuities to show that. So maybe I can help them out. But if you're not doing it properly, then, it's just bad data. Who cares about bad data, right? Anybody here a data person? No. 1, all right. 2, all right. Because it's not that you have to know a lot about data, but if you're going to do something, do it right, So I had asked Liz if she could ask you if you could make a scenario. If you have any issues in particular about the acuity system, because I can go on and I can talk about all of the indicators. We have 24 indicators. And, you see them and you see what the definitions are. We can't change the definitions, but we can certainly look at the examples and make them more personal for your unit. And I'm happy to do that if somebody wants to go through and create new examples. This is something you could look at in a huddle, in a staff meeting, and see if you can find something that would be more pertinent to your unit. I'd be glad to put them in. And then when you hover over the indicator, not only the definition will come up, but then the example will come up too. So that will help you with your unit. So I can do that for you if you think it would be helpful. Because my job is to make this a very reliable source to help you use when you need something. Okay? Do you have any questions about what I've said so far? Does anybody feel like they do it right?
Well, the only thing I have, and I don't know if you're going to talk about this later, but if I'm not mistaken, you base the assignment on the previous shift assessment. Yes?
Yes.
So, night, RNs will do their assessment, their activities, and that's what they base the day shift. But usually dynamics are a little different during the day, so we got more things to do. And what was it, 3 at night is 5 during the day?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that would be my.
So now, I'll tell you right now, number 5 patients and number 6 patients should probably be in an ICU. Definitely 6s have to be in an ICU. You should never have a 6 on your unit. And a 5, you shouldn't have a 5 on your unit either. Now, the difference between night and day, you can still go back to the previous day and look at it, the charge nurse can, or whoever makes the assignments, and go, okay, did this patient really sleep through the night? Maybe they don't, maybe they're being discharged. If that's the case, did they really not have anything? They don't have anything planned for the next day? Because if they have plans for the next day, you can put that into the forecaster to help show the hours that it's going to take to do the new thing. So for the day shift, but that's something that, this is why you can use this as a guide, but it's not the be-all end-all. It's not the only thing that people use to help make assignments, but it can definitely be a good guide. And when finance looks at things, and when the CNOs look at things, and the directors look, they want to know that the data is correct. But right now, when your audits are done, it's not correct. You have like a 50% reliability, 60% reliability. Well, you might as well just throw it all out. So, all I'm saying is, if you're going to do it right so you can use it. Because people around you are using it correctly, and they're getting help. The kind of help that, I don't know, your staff is perfectly satisfied. The assignments are always the best. You always have enough staff. Is that correct? Not exactly. You think you could maybe use a little help in some ways sometimes? So all I'm saying is that if you do this right, it can be helpful. And it's not hard to do it right. If it takes you 30 seconds to do it wrong, maybe it will take you another 30 seconds to do it right, so that's a minute instead of just 30 seconds. Because maybe you have to think a little bit more about who is really in that bed that you're taking care of. Does that make sense so far? You know, I'm here to encourage you to do the right thing in the right way, which is what nurses do, or you want to do, right? So even if you don't like data, you still want to do the right thing. So do you have any particular indicators that you use that you think, I don't know why I'm doing this, or this never doesn't make sense to me, or how can I use it better, or maybe I should use it more often? Does everybody gets the safety management? I'll tell you, rehab, number 5, seems to be a big one here in Land of Memorial. About rehabilitative use. Anybody have any problems with that one? When to use it? Do you use it? Or do you just go, I don't understand this, so I'm not going to use it? How about communication support? I know for a while people were getting issues, had issues.
So I have a question.
Yes.
For says their CVA, spine, bladder. We don't have those patients, so we shouldn't be doing that?
You can use it.
Okay.
Those are just general examples.
Right.
So anybody that you have that comes in and they were walking, talking, feeding themselves and doing all that, and then after a procedure or after being here for a while, they're not doing those things so well anymore. So you have rehab coming and you have, when you get them up to the bathroom, you have to be with them so that you can get them to where they need to go. That's rehab. You're bringing them back to where they were to begin with. Now, if they weren't doing those things when they came in, then you're not going to be able to rehab them, probably. You know, if they had a previous stroke or if they had previous injury, that they can't use the right hand. You're not, unless they came in for a procedure that was to correct that, you know, that probably wouldn't work for them. But for patients that you're trying to get back to their normal level of ADLs, then yes, you can use it. Yes?
For people who may not be comfortable that they're doing this accurately on their day-to-day shift or whatever, what are some resources they have so that they can kind of educate themselves so that they know they're doing it accurately?
Well, they have the Acuity resource nurses on the unit, and I'm Henley is the one that's been here the longest and been doing it for the longest. And I know that several of the leads have been asked to take the test to see if they can, what the test is, it's an iterator reliability test, and what that does is validate that they know how to use the indicators correctly. So once they take that test and they start doing audits, then they're a good resource. You can also email me. I'm happy to talk to people on the phone. I'm happy to come in and talk to them in person. I do go around to all of the hospitals. I do this for the system. But I can make time to come in and talk to several individuals. And
Is there,
go
they
over
could just
things.
go in, like Cerner or whatnot, so they could refresh themselves?
There is, if you go into, what is it? The Learning Center. You go in the Learning Center, you look under nursing, and you will see that you can find the Acuity competencies that you take in orientation without the test. But it goes through all of the indicators and the 1 hour plus activities and how you should do it. So that would be the other resource that you have.
So to clarify that, what Sharon meant is that on A through Z, I click on Learning Center, not go to the Learning Center for your
Right.
modules. So once you go into the A through Z, go on the Learning Center, go into the Learning Taxonomy, that's where all the list of all the modules that the Learning Center have, and they do have a nursing acuities modules that we originally already have on our orientation already. But if you want to refresh it, the acuity modules still there.
Yes.
So you mentioned earlier that there was 50% the reliability portion, is that specifically from 5 Mark? Is that based on the audits that were being conducted previously? And where's that gap?
The
How do
gap,
you go-
90% or better is the goal.
I'm sorry, what was that?
90% or better is the goal for reliability.
But if you're auditing what the nurse had put as acuity level,
Right.
I guess I don't understand the auditing part. So
Okay.
why?
What the auditors do is they look at the patient and they look at the chart, and then they classify the patient according to what they see in the chart. And then they match it. They see how it matches with what the nurse, the direct care nurse, has already audited the patient for.
So sometimes there's items that aren't in the chart, but when you walk into a room, there's a lot more than you can see. So I'm assuming that's probably why, because of the patient population, that the auditors have such a huge discrepancy between what the nurse is putting and what the auditor might be putting. Does that make sense? Like,
No.
you we're under acute type,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where.
Yes.
Not under acuitizing our patient.
Yeah, we
Yes.
might have a 4 or 5 patient, but to us, because we're so used to dealing with these types of patients, we're like, oh, that's a 3, because we're so used to it.
That's what I mean when I say people just, before they see the patient, they go in and they do the acuity. And they just choose what they normally choose.
Normally, we have our acuities done around 2 p.m. So I think all of our nursing staff on
Uh-huh.
day shift has been with that patient for 8 hours.
Okay.
And then they're putting in their acuities. So
Okay,
they don't ever put their, I don't know anyone who puts their acuities in at 7:30.
No.
None of us do.
because other places do.
Oh, none of us do.
How can they assess the patient?
Well, they don't.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying, they don't assess the patient.
I'm one of the auditors, and all the ACs are, and I know Ina is one too. So I audit the patient that I'm taking care of. Like if I come onto the floor and say Jane had the patient, I'm auditing Jane's acuity.
From the night before.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I can see also how different it can be because of what Jose said, that night and day is different.
Yeah.
But I'll do the, so I'll come in, I'll do my assessment, and then I'll do the audit first on Jane, and then I'll do my
So
actual
should we be
acuity.
auditing the same shift the day before
Yes,
as
that
opposed
would
to
be-
the night?
I
Because
don't-
on day shift, like we were
Well-
saying, there's a huge discrepancy in types and items and things that we.
Theoretically, everything should be in the chart that you need to do the audit. So if somebody goes through the chart, if the people who did the audits were in a building someplace else and all they had was Cerner to look at, that would be, you should have all the information in the chart that they would need to do a correct audit. To say, okay, you validate the cognitive support that that patient needed because they had to keep being reminded of where they were and who they were and what they were doing there. The family, now the family plays into this too, so if you have behavior issues, you can use the behavioral, emotional management also for family as well as the patient. That needs to all be charted.
But if there's family that isn't present on night shift, but
Right.
they're here all day on day shift,
Right.
so it's gonna be different. So,
As it should be. It should be different. Because you're right, you don't have the same level of acuity every second of every day. It's a fluid.
So just for clarification, this is the reason why we did, Liz and I are asking the leads to take over the auditing, because they're the chargers for the day, there will be, auditing person who's working that day. So that's what the plan is moving forward. So their way, we will,
They have a better-
liability,
yeah.
there won't be such a big gap. Because before someone's been Ina, and Ina was the only one for both days and night, and we didn't have enough, so therefore, now moving forward, Liz has asked the leads to do the auditing, so they'll be doing whatever's on that shift. To put that down.
So then if the leads want to meet with me and we go over the auditing process, I'm happy to do that. So that we can close this gap. What I'm trying to get at is, you can't just walk into a room and say, okay, this person has behavioral issues, but I didn't mark it in the classification. So what is it, a secret? It needs to be in the chart, and you need to mark it when you classify the patient, so that it's not a secret, so that the next shift will know what's going on. This is a static number that we use for the audits. If we had transparency, think of it this way. If we had transparency, meaning that all the indicators were mapped to what you charted, it would still be the same thing. You would still have a different classification on nights that you have during days, because you're doing different things. And the patient's doing different things.
And why are we using the acuities for night to determine our staffing for the day?
Well,
take that and we utilize that to make our schedule for the
Right.
evening shift. And then I come back and they're like, that person was a wild animal. They were like, you know? So I'm just wondering, like, I don't know, do you guys agree? Okay. Without the garage. Well, then water.
So, yes,
Yeah, so I don't know if there's other resources we can use in conjunction.
well, you always use ratios, and you always use, you probably use, some type of staffing guide. So some people only want to have the same patients that they had the day before. Some people only want to always want new patients. They don't want the patients they had the day before. And so those are kind of guidelines too that you can use. But as far as the acuity goes, it's not the only thing you look at. You look at what else does that patient need? What was that person's experience? And for the last 2 days, how's that patient acted? So there's not one thing that you always use to help make staffing, from my experience with staffing and talking to people. And that's true. So, but acuity can be used as a guide. And I encourage people to do it correctly so that they can use the data for other things. And I know that Pam Wells used to use it at her other facility to help with staffing numbers in finance. Now we are beginning to use it here more. I get more calls for finance, for information about acuity and whether we can get it to relate to how we can work with budget than I ever have before. I've been doing this for 6 years. And when I first started, they go, forget about it. Don't worry, we'll never use it. But in the last 2 years, I've been getting calls from finance. They call me. So, you know, there's becoming an interest in how can we justify and how can we maneuver and how can we make staffing and the nurses' experience at work better. So that's why I'm encouraging people to really do this right. Do it right for your own shift and see how that works. Do it for 6 months and reevaluate. What's the staffing? How does the direct care staff feel about their assignments now? Just try it. Are you guys willing to at least do that?
I don't think they're doing it right.
Yeah, that's 50% of us are doing it wrong. Somebody would have said something by now, right?
Yeah, I think there's just, I think the confusion part is the auditing part. Because I feel like the staff, they know what they're doing. It's just the auditing part
Okay.
that's confusing.
Okay, so then, I'm happy to spend time with the auditors and go through it with them when they go through and do the audits and see if that's where the gap is. You know, we can see what the root cause analysis is. So if everybody's auditing, classifying their patients correctly, then where is the breakdown? Is it in the charting? And you can't validate the indicators that were used because the charting isn't there for it? Or is it that the auditors can't find the charting? Or what do you know, we can find out what that is. So is that what you think is the problem?
What are the specifics in the auditing process? What are you looking at in the charting? Are you just basing it on the assessment part? Do you go to our university interdisciplinary note? Because, you know, the good thing about Cerner is you can document in every way. Because you can document also in the IView under the event communication note. Are the auditors nurses like us who work on the floor in acute care? So that they know where to find and how to categorize, the auditing process. We just need to know that if there's like a big gap from what we are doing from the audit, from what the auditors are doing, we need to know which place are they looking at so that we can justify more our opinion, how to classify our patients.
Okay, Julio.
I think that, yeah, I don't, to be honest, like I said, I feel like the staff are doing a great job, acuitizing the patient. It's just, I think it's the auditing piece, to be honest, because I used to audit. And how I feel like, as a lead, I was a lead when I was auditing, sometimes I'm not on the floor. So how am I gonna audit somebody and know really what the patient is if I'm not really on the floor? You know what I mean? It's like you're relying on the auditor to know what exactly the acuities are, but to be honest, it's not really correct. So I feel like you have to lie, so yeah, you know what I mean? It has to be based on what you know of the patient, or the auditor should be someone who knows the patient, right? Who knows really what the patient is, so it's reliable, not just,
Well, I know some units that were having this issue, and one of the things that they did was the auditors would sit with the direct care nurse, and while they were acutizing, and ask some questions if there were any questions about why are you using that indicator or why are you not using that indicator, and then they would do the audit on that patient. So that could be something. We only need 7 audits a month. We don't need 100. We only need 7. That's the basic. It'd be nice to do 14, especially with as many auditors as you're going to have soon.
maybe 7 for days and 7 for nights.
Yes.
That would be good.
Yes. And just and maybe at the beginning, when they get up to speed, when they take the test and they pass it, they can sit with the nurses on the units, look at the patients and decide, or the nurse, and see which ones do they want to audit, and then sit with that nurse when they do the classification.
And it's random audits, and also, we need to audit one nurse, at least one nurse a year. Is that what it is? At least every nurse should be audited
At least once a year.
Once a year.
Yes.
I mean, maybe anybody's interested in auditing here, let me know. Maybe we could add on.
So does something like that sound like a plan that you could put into place?
Yeah, we'll
Would
work
that
on it.
help maybe relieve that gap?
I think, the first idea that came out earlier was that the charge nurse will be auditing the nurses. I think that I would put my mind into it, because at least the charge nurse oversee the staff
Right.
during that shift.
Right.
And, he and she knows, how we document and everything.
Right.
Because there's a lot of things that goes on to our floor. It's not only like, the behavioral piece part of it, but of course our communications, our doctors, not only that, PT, OT, everybody, comes to us, to nurse, us nurses, and we jace with everybody. So that's already putting a lot of acuity in our patients.
Okay.
So, the best bet is a charge nurse. Just, whatever goes on that day,
Well,
they know what's going on.
if that's what you want to do.
That's what
So
we're gonna
we
be
can
doing
leave
moving
things
forward,
as
and
that.
that's why I asked
Okay.
the leads.
So the charge nurses as opposed to the leads, or are all the leads charge nurses, or
Yes,
how does that
all
work?
the leads are charged.
Okay, so then, but then to have them work with the nurse when they do the acuity, do you want to put that piece in place at least for the next few weeks, or the next, till January?
We'll work on that. We'll make a process for that,
Does
so.
that sound like a process you guys could work with, and then see how things go?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that a Fist to 5 thing? Do you guys do Fist to 5
Well, if
still?
it's only affecting the leads at this moment, I think we'll get it.
Yeah,
We'll have the leads kind of
Yeah.
take care of it. We're not all here right now, so
Okay,
we can't do a fist to 5
Yeah.
fully.
okay, I can't hold you to it then, huh? Is that the deal? Okay, okay, so Does that satisfy that portion of the acuity? And then we can, we can get back together and talk about it and see where we're at. Evaluate that situation.
I get is it monthly that you give me information? I get the Acuity
Reports.
report every month, so I'll send it to you guys of how we're doing. And when did you send the leaves,
I did.
Okay. Okay,
Yes,
perfect.
nobody's taken the test yet. They got it last week.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.